Right, are we signing a striker? Well, Ian, it's funny that you mentioned that, bro, because lots of lots of chatter about potential options there. And one option that stood out to me came from a piece that I read in the Echo of all places. And I must state that this was an opinion piece. I don't want to try and land anybody in hot water or anything like that. But the opinion piece that I'd read in the Echo is very interesting, and let me take you through why. So apparently John Duran hasn't settled over in Saudi Arabia. And according to Saudi Arabian sports channel, Al Ridaiya, I think it's pronounced, Alriyadiiyah, Al Nasser striker John Duran may be looking for a temporary means of escape from the Gulf state ahead of the new season. They cite personal difficulties that have impacted his mental well-being and by extension his form. So we asked this of our WhatsApp group earlier on. We put up a poll asking, would you take John Duran at Liverpool on loan for the season if it became an option? Now remember, Liverpool have other irons in the fire. Of course, we're keeping an eye on Hugo Ekitike. The situation with Alexander Isak doesn't seem to be going away. But I'd be a liar, like I've said, if I told you I know who the targets are. But for the first poll of the night, I want to repeat the poll that we put into our WhatsApp channel. Now, if you're in the WhatsApp channel, welcome and thank you for being in there. We've got nearly 4,500 people in it already. But I want to ask you guys on this, on John Duran. Would you take him as a loan with a... Let's give you some different options on it. We'll give you some options on the loan and then we'll get back into the chat. Would you take John Duran on loan? No, yes, with an option to buy, or yes, just a straight loan. So 3 options there for you. If you'd say no, just click no. If you like the idea of him with an option or an obligation to buy, click that one. And if you like it just a straight loan, click that one. I think it would be an interesting one, but it would certainly be one that I would imagine Liverpool don't push for or look towards until we see what the lay of the land is with other strikers. Now, I don't know if you call this breaking story or not, but one thing that we did just post is Romano saying a decision has been made. Darwin Núñez will leave Liverpool this summer. Now, I don't think that's going to be earth-shattering breaking news to anybody, but it is, again, a confirmation of what we've been saying all the way through, that Darwin will leave Liverpool this summer. Who his replacement is going to be, like I've always been honest with you and said, I don't know, but it looks like we're getting to a point now where the options for Darwin are starting to become a little bit clear. So a couple of options in Italy. AC Milan have been asked to be kept informed on the situation. We know Napoli were interested as well. And of course, Atletico Madrid are another club. Hopefully we can get Duran, said Jack Quinn. Look, as I said, credit, it was an opinion piece on the Echo. So they certainly weren't trying to state this as a fact or anything. But it looks like he may be leaving Saudi Arabia anyway. So if Liverpool can't get a striker that they're 100% convinced the money is worth, I think trying to get John Duran on loan for a year would be a very clever thing to do. Will you have Diogo Jota there? Will you keep an eye on the situation with Jadon Danns and his progression? I think it would certainly be better than spunking a load of money on somebody who the club aren't 100% convinced is going to be the guy. That would be decent for me anyway, but, you know, as I said, I'm just giving you my opinion on it. Right, we've had over 2,000 votes, so let's call it on the poll. 50% of people said yes, they would be happy with a loan with an obligation to buy. 35% of people said absolutely no, they don't want John Duran. And then the remaining 14% said yes, but just a straight loan. I would rather Liverpool loaned them in than bought somebody that they weren't 100% convinced with. You know, because we are going to sell Darwin Núñez. That is going to happen. So for me, the question after that is, do you go and spend the money on somebody you want to bring in? If you can, yeah, absolutely, that would be the answer. But if not, we keep our powder dry. It would allow us to see Danns and be another year closer to young Rio coming into the attack as well. I just think it wouldn't be the most ridiculous thing in the world. You know, he certainly showed good form when he was at Aston Villa and in the Champions League as well. And it seems to be a lot of young players just can't settle. Gabby Veiga coming back as well. He's going to Porto, I think. So some of these younger players that are over there in Saudi, maybe they're not really enjoying the situation as much. He can't be any worse than Darwin, said John Doe Gerard. Yeah, it's look, I would rather we did that than spunked a load of dough on somebody we weren't happy with. But let's say Liverpool do have a target, then I want them to go get that target, you know. I just wonder if maybe they're waiting around to see. But like I said, just a jumping off point for tonight's stream, not really trying to say it's a hard and fast move that's definitely going to happen or anything. I would love Isak at the club, as I'm also Swedish, said Pontus Berlin. Do you know what, mate? I don't have any information on the striker search, like as in inside information. I told you, honestly, I don't know, but it's not going away. The Isak story, even when the media are talking about it, it just isn't going away. Look, let's talk about the post I read out a minute ago saying, I read you out a post a minute ago speaking about a potential departure from Liverpool. And even in that, they said, I think it was the Diaz Barcelona one actually, where they said basically that Liverpool want Isak and or a wide player in. So all I can say to you is there certainly seems to be some legs left in this Isak story. I don't know if it will end in him coming to Liverpool or not. I really haven't got a clue. But I am intrigued by it because it's still going on, and nobody's really been able to fully shut it down yet. Duran, I would love, said Corbyn. I would find it very intriguing for a season with a loan with an option. I would find that really interesting because I don't think we would have been able to get him directly from Villa. And if he hasn't settled over in Saudi and he wants a loan, it gives Liverpool options and it gives Liverpool time. Obviously, if we could get Isak this summer as an example, that would be the way to go. But if Liverpool aren't convinced, Corbyn, like I said, and that's an option, I wouldn't be against it for a season. We're linked to Osimhen, according to some sources. Is it true? He's been linked. You're right about that, mate. Are we going to sign him? Not that I'm aware of. It looks like Galatasaray are pushing really hard to try and get a deal done with Napoli. The wages they feel like that they can cover for Osimhen, but they don't feel like they can get to the asking price that Napoli are looking for. Other than that, I don't really know too much more about the Osimhen situation. It wouldn't excite me though, I'll say that. He wouldn't excite me. The price tag for Ekitike doesn't excite me. I think it's too high for somebody who I would still have some question marks over. So for me, I want us to get a bona fide animal or weight, which is why I found the whole John Duran possibility interesting. I'm Colombian and do not recommend Duran. He's very difficult to deal with. So am I wrong, Mr. Fonseca Herrera? Or did he have a fallout with your national team coach about something? I swear I read something about that. Now, look, I won't profess to be an expert on any level with Colombian football, but I think I did read something about a fallout with the national team manager and some drama in and around him. But Luis Diaz speaks very well of him and said he's a massive talent as well. But we do know Liverpool won't bring in any troublemaker. So, if there is any sense that his head's not in the right place or that he might be a destructive force in the changing room, absolutely don't think Liverpool would look into it. Craig, John Duran on loan or Isak/Osimhen? They would obviously cost a bit more. I've no interest in Victor Osimhen at Liverpool, Mike, personally. Isak absolutely would love, without a shadow of a doubt. But you have to admit, you'd have concern about, would he be available at the business end of the season when you need him? Because he does seem to pick up some injuries. But yeah, Duran on loan would be interesting if Liverpool couldn't get the target they want because it buys us a bit of time. But after that, I think Isak would definitely be exciting.